Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. Welcome to our first of many Embracing Excellence information sessions, and I hope to see you here for future sessions. Um, this session is going to be filled with information about Lean and the conference itself, our Lean conference, Embracing Excellence, June 9th to 12th, 2025. Hopefully, we'll see you there. And let me walk you through some of the elements of our conference. So, as I get started here, just let me give you a bit of an overview of CME. So first of all, CME is Canada's oldest and largest manufacturing association. We have representation from coast to coast, and we have deep, intimate relationships with manufacturing companies across the country. So we know what manufacturers need, and they talk to us. We support them based on what we hear from them. Our mandate is simply to help manufacturers grow. We grow through sharing, through learning, through developing, through training. We have so many different ways to help our manufacturers, and our Lean conference is just one of them. My name is John Chaput. I'm the Executive Director for Training Services for CME, Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, and I'm just going to take you through a quick 30-minute overview of our Lean Conference, Embracing Excellence 2025. Hopefully it adds some value to you and it inspires you to engage your people starting today. So why Embracing Excellence? What is it? Well, it's about lean. It is a lean and productivity improvement conference, which has elements of technology, elements of sustainability, daily improvement, and leadership embedded in the conference. Why does it matter to you? I'll walk through some of those things throughout this presentation, but by and large, I like this philosophy. If you're not moving ahead, you're falling behind because your competition is moving ahead. That's why lean, continuous improvement, productivity improvement, and people development should be important to you. What is the value? Well, through this presentation, you'll see the value of joining a continuous improvement conference, our lean conference, engaging other people, and sharing what you know so that others can share back what they know and what they've learned through their journey. I'll send you home today with a tool, TIMWOODS. This is a tool to look for opportunities within your organization, and I'll follow up with an email that gives you a template. So you'll see that through this presentation. So I'd like to start explaining embracing excellence by teaching you what lean is, because it's not going to make a lot of sense if you don't understand the essence of lean. But lean thinking is a tool for change. And I want to emphasize thinking. Lean is about the mindset. It's about how you see things in your organization, how you see processes, and how you engage people. It's a philosophy. And this is maybe one of the best lines for me about lean. It's using time as a competitive weapon. Think about that. If you use time as a competitive weapon, you focus on reducing the time it takes you to do everything, which ultimately shrinks the time it takes you to deliver to your customer, shrinks the time it takes you to build product and process, which allows you to be more competitive. Not only do you think about reducing time in a single process, but you think about it throughout all your business processes and eventually across the entire value chain. This means from supplier to customer. And Henry Ford did this the best. He knew how long it took him to get metal ore from the ground converted to a car in the customer's hands. Unbelievable, unbelievable. That's some of the roots of lean right there. And we're not going to get into that too much today, other than me saying that lean really started, it had its birthplace with Toyota. It's based on the Toyota production system. And how does it work? Well, quite simply, we had somebody write a book in the 90s called The Machine That Changed the World. And it was a book about the Toyota production system. Why was that important? Well, because after World War II, Toyota was on the verge of bankruptcy. They were known for poor quality. It was just a horrible product that they built. And they converted their processes to help transform their business to become one of the most competitive and quality products in the industry in a number of years. So someone wrote a book about that. And in that book, they called the Toyota production system a lean system. That's how lean got its name. There's no more magic to it than that. Is the Toyota production system was lean, meaning it was efficient. So there's some pictures of Toyota in Japan using some of their lean technologies there, their lean thinking. But lean is about the best practices. It started with Toyota, and just one more little piece of history there. Toyota did something really significantly different back in the day. What they did is they took the best practices from the world-renowned North American car companies like Chrysler and GM, and they added an element of engage your people to become problem solvers. And that's what made the difference between them and their competition. And since then, as lean evolved throughout around the world, it's definitely been applied into all sorts of industries in manufacturing. So from pharmaceuticals to aerospace, food and beverage, food processing, across any manufacturing industry. But even more than that, it applies to any industry. And I have personal experience here in applying lean in new and old factories. All of the CME facilitators do. We've applied it in the office environment, hospitals, healthcare, government of all sorts. I have personal experience successfully applying lean transformation in places like Vancouver General Hospital or Manitoba Land Titles, the Winnipeg Police Service. So these are all non-manufacturing companies that applied lean to move the needle. The interesting thing here is that think about manufacturing for a second. They do everything, right? They have legal, marketing, design, IT, and they apply lean to all their processes. So then it stands to reason that we can apply lean in any other environment. So at its heart, lean shows us that the customer defines value. The customer pays us, or even if we're non-for-profit or we're government organization, if we understand who our customer is, we need to understand that they're the ones who define value. It trains us to understand which step of any process is adding value to the customer and which steps are not. And then it gives us the tools and methods to work in teams to eliminate non-value added activities. And if we can't eliminate them, we will reduce them. Ultimately, it goes back to using time as a competitive weapon. It effectively helps us to reduce the time it takes us to do whatever it is our customer needs us to do so we can become more competitive. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, now we understand that lean is understanding that the customer defines value. So then we break down any activity into two categories, value added versus non-value added. Value added steps, quite honestly, is anything the customer is willing to pay for. A little bit of a smoke test here is, could you upsell that specific activity? Or could you ask your customer to pay for it? That would be a value added activity if the answer is yes. Everything else would be non-value added. But non-value added is a little bit more complex. It's not just cut and dry. It's like do it or don't do it. We try to reduce all non-value added activity, but the reality is some of the non-value added activity are enablers. These are the things that help us do the value added stuff. So we break that into two separate categories, necessary and unnecessary. It's as simple as that. Necessary but non-value added activities, we call it non-value added but necessary, are the things that enable us to be efficient at doing the the value added activities. The unnecessary would be complete waste. And in the lean world, that's what we want to eliminate or reduce. So as a visual, this is what it could look like. Look at that lead time there, the words at the bottom of that graphic is, assume that represents a week of work. The green slices in there represent the value-added activity in most North American non-lean companies as they're starting their lean journey, and the red represents the non-value-added activity. Typically, in North America, if you haven't started your lean journey, between 70 and 95% of everything you do is not adding direct value to the customer. Why is that important? Because what lean teaches us is let's reduce the waste. We don't have to work faster. We don't have to improve the speed of how fast a drill bit turns or how fast we're doing value-added activity. What it teaches us is let's reduce the noise that gets in the way of doing the value-added activity. In other words, reduce the non-value-added activity. So where do we find the waste? How do you do that? Well, let me give you a tool for that. The 8 forms of waste. The 8 forms of destructive waste in any organization are these things. As I'm walking you through these, think about this. If you see this in your organization, it represents opportunity. Doesn't necessarily mean you could solve it, doesn't mean you could eliminate it or even reduce it, but it does represent opportunity. So every time we see a process, something happening, we ask ourselves a question. Is it value added or non-value added? You have to be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, this doesn't work. There's no wrong answer. You can't feel bad if you uncover non-value added activity. You should celebrate that because that represents opportunity. So we ask ourselves, is it non-value added or is it value added? If it's non-value added, we ask ourselves 2 other questions. Can we eliminate it? Chances are, maybe, yeah. Good likelihood that there's a way to do it. The other question is, will we? Because our organizations are filled with opportunity, and just because we uncover a waste doesn't mean it's going to be priority today to eliminate or reduce it. So here they are: transportation, moving things. Anytime information, tools, equipment, or material is being moved, that's transportation. That represents opportunity. Ask ourselves, can we reduce it or eliminate it? Will we? Next one, excess inventory, particularly excess inventory. This is non-value added activity for us. Why? Because think about it. This is a good one to highlight in a factory, for instance. We have warehouses full of material. Well, warehouses aren't cheap. I live here in Winnipeg. We have to heat these things in the wintertime. We have to keep the snow off. We have to keep the grounds clear. So we have to heat the inventory, heat the warehouse. We have to put inventory away, move it, clean it, sort it, find it, lose it, break it, damage it, obsolescence, all these things related to inventory. Now, if you're chuckling to yourself saying, oh yeah, that's happened to me, well, don't worry, you're not alone. Inventory is the enemy of all lean practitioners when it's in excess. Motion. So anytime we can reduce motion, um, this is an opportunity for us. So motion is non-value added activity. The more you repeat a particular motion, the more benefit you'll have by reducing that motion. Waiting. Waiting for anything, information, instructions, a machine, approvals. Waiting is definitely non-value added activity. So how do we reduce waiting? Again, by identifying the 8 forms of waste. If waiting is one of them, we say, hey, John's waiting for approval to do the next thing that he's really good at, but he can't do it because he's waiting for somebody to approve it. How do we reduce that wait time? Oh, maybe someone on the team has a good idea. Over processing. This is doing more than the customer wants, more than the customer is willing to pay for. And often in the office environments, as a lean practitioner, putting on the lean lenses is very frustrating because it's harder to see waste in the office, but it exists. In fact, 2/3 of the waste in a factory originates in the office. So here's an example of over processing. What if a supervisor needs an approval from the manager for a $50 purchase that is important for them to do their job or to have their people do their job? Why can't we train the supervisor and give him the accountability and authority to make that decision himself? I'm just using $50, but pick a number, because as soon as it goes up for an approval, we end up with waiting, we end up with miscommunication, frustration, and just prolonging the lead time. Overproduction. The symptom of overproduction is work in process. This isn't ideal in the lean world. We don't want a whole big batch of things waiting for the next process, because while they're sitting there waiting, value's been added to them, but we can't sell it to the customer. We can't satisfy the customer's needs, but we've used all these resources in creating work in process. That's overproduction. Make one, move one is the ideal scenario in the lean world. Defects, that's obvious. Anytime we have a defect, whether it's a physical rework that we have to do or misinformation, bad instructions? What if somebody showed up to the job site an hour too early? Well, that's a defect. What if they show up an hour too late? That could be a much bigger defect. Think of this in healthcare. Imagine if a doctor didn't know where to be, a surgeon didn't know where to be when they were needed in a specific spot. That would be a major defect. How do we reduce and eliminate that? Underutilized employee skills could very well be the biggest opportunity out there. This to me is not leveraging the skills we have in our workplace because we pigeonhole people into a specific role. That's important. We need those roles done. But people on our teams also do other things, and they have other experiences and knowledge that we don't leverage enough. Many people on our teams, maybe they're just putting widgets together, they're filling out paperwork in a very repetitive way, but they're coaches, they're carpenters, they're hobbyists, they're artists. We don't leverage this, the things they do outside of work, which are their passions. The other part of underutilized employee skills is problem solving in a vacuum. The real golden measure here for problem solving is problem solving in teams. And lean is really about creating an army of problem solvers. So that is how we can help identify opportunities in our organizations that will drive better performance to our customer, improved quality, improved competitiveness by using time as a competitive weapon, identifying the 8 forms of waste, and then doing something about it. Transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, defects, and underutilized employee skills. So I will send you after this, or somebody from the CME team will send you this template afterwards. And I encourage you to use this starting immediately. Go look for the waste. Even if you do nothing about it right now, you'll start to feel that anxiety in your stomach to say, I have solutions. I want to do something about it. This little tip sheet we have shows you it asks you to write down what do you see in terms of the 8 forms of waste and how will you improve it. But just start by training your brain to find these. And the nice thing about it is it forces you to get into the area where things are done, where the action is. We call that Gemba. So what do you see doesn't mean what do you think happens. It means what did I actually see? I know that when John puts paper in the garbage, he walks around his office. It doesn't count until I see him doing it. John walked to the other side of his office, putting garbage in the garbage can. How do I improve it? Move his garbage can under his desk. Easy. So there's examples there on the back of the sheet, which just gives you examples, again, training your brain on manufacturing waste and service waste or office waste. So it just helps you along the way. Give that a go. Even better, take somebody with you. Take them, pull them along and say, hey, let's see if this stuff really works. I guarantee you, you'll find something you didn't know before. So in summary, this is my summary. Waste equals non-value added, NVA. Waste equals non-value added activity. Reducing non-value added activities equals faster and better. For who? I hope you're saying it, the customer. Faster and better equals less cost, improved delivery, happy and successful customers. Yes, we want our customers to be successful and we have a hand in it. Core opportunities, which means growth. In other words, if you're good at fundamental processes, you can do anything that leverages those processes. My goodness, the opportunities here. Keep this in mind, particularly if you're a leader of an organization, and the higher you are in the hierarchy, the more important it is that you understand this. You can only implement lean and leverage people if you're engaging people by developing them, by giving them the experiences they need, by helping them to fail and learn from their failures within a manageable framework. So obviously we don't want to derail the company by testing and trying new things, but we could put up some boundaries and allow people to experiment with finding waste and improving the processes. Sound good? Well, how does the conference come into play then? Now you have a bit of a framework of what lean is and hopefully how it can help your organization, at least at a very entry level starting point. Well, let me share with you some examples of what the practitioners of our last conference shared within the conference themselves. So, these results here are coming from Manitoba Health. When we were going through the pandemic, they needed to find a way to vaccinate as many people as possible in the quickest, safest, and most effective, efficient way. They used lean principles to do that. They told their story at a conference. Yes, so the conference is all about practitioners telling their story, including pitfalls, mistakes, and challenges they had, and then leading to successes and sustainability. So this was Manitoba Health telling the story of how they designed, implemented, and executed on a very efficient process to help people get vaccinated as required. This story here was told by Lowen Windows, so a Manitoba company that builds world-class windows, high-quality windows, high-value windows. They did a continuous improvement event in the office, and as a result of this one event, they ended up saving $140,000 by squeezing out the non-value added activities, the waste in their organization. They spent 90 minutes telling their story of how this continuous improvement project help them to improve their process, help them to become more competitive and efficient, and help them help their customers. Here we have another organization that told their story. This is daily improvement. This was a Kaizen event on 5S. 5S is a methodology for team-based workplace organization and visual workplace. So this is their first pass for me at implementing 5S in a maintenance supply area. It's intended to make it visual and sustainable. This organization here, Herd Industries, they told their story about leveraging technology to enhance and improve their processes. They may have, in fact, been a very lean company at the time of we at the time that we asked them to join the conference, and they said, "Yeah, yeah, we know lean." The next evolution of lean is the integration of technology. They told their story about that. How does robotics and automation help you? How do you select the right areas and the right processes to automate and apply robotics? And what are some of the risks and pitfalls? Another 5S story from a concrete manufacturing plant, Lafarge. Again, they're telling their story of how they went from this is the way we do things to now this is the improved standardized way of doing things. So this organization told their story of how data drove continuous improvement and drove sustainable results in their organization. So data-driven improvement. And it sounds easy. Yeah, okay, if we got data, we're not making assumptions. We're not just going by gut feel, but data drives good decisions. That makes sense. But starting out by understanding data, you have to figure out what to measure. If you're not measuring anything right now, you have to start somewhere, and sometimes it's tricky. Keep in mind, it's an evolution. It's continuous improvement. Fantastic story from Bolt. The last one I'll show you here is, again, just KPIs to drive improvement to guide problem solving. This is a team that used KPIs to leverage the team to drive the improvement, to help them identify where their biggest opportunities in the organization are, and then go to the people who do the job every day, because nobody knows the issues and opportunities better than the person doing the job every day. Think about it this way. If somebody came into your office and said, "Hey, I have some ideas for improvement for you," and didn't ask you what your challenges were, how effective would that be? Think about that, right? We need to engage people, and Lean provides the tools, the framework, and the thinking for that. So conference overview, those presentation, those snippets of presentations I just showed you include, pardon me, in our conference, we have 36 practitioner presentations just like that. The focus is on culture, improvement, technology, sustainability. These are the focuses for our conference. So the way the conference works is 3 times per day, you're going to have the opportunity to choose one of those one of those 4 value streams and pick a presentation that appeals to you, that talks to you, that may be related to some challenges you're seeing today or some future vision you have. And you can join these. We have 21 best practice tours. So these are companies, local companies that have done some really good things in specific areas, and they're going to highlight and showcase their organization or part of their organization or a project. And you're going to get suited up if it's in the factory with hard hats and work boots, or if it's in the office, you're going to have the explanation of what you're going to go through, and they're going to show you what they're actually doing today. We're going to coach you on how to leverage what you learn on a best practice tour to take it back and own the things that matter to your organization and make them your own. We have 7 world-class keynote speakers, which I'll get into in a minute, but every day we've got keynote speakers that have done this stuff, lived this stuff. They're brilliant, they're exceptional, and they're inspirational. We're going to help you, and experienced conference goers will help junior conference goers through networking, coaching and learning and sharing and motivating each other. The one thing that we hear over and over again at our lean conferences is, wow, I didn't realize this isn't my issue alone. I'm not alone. Other people have similar issues. And then we have evening events, special events for leaders, newbies, consortia night. And then the cost, if you're in Manitoba, cost is relatively cheap because there is no travel. You don't have to fly across the country or take a train or a boat. If you're outside of Manitoba for this conference, yeah, there's travel costs to get here, but I'll get in the actual fees of the conference shortly. We also have badge sharing if you're a local company, meaning if you register one registration, you can send a different person every day to the conference. So I talked about this briefly, but our 36 practitioner sessions go through 4 value streams. In other words, 4 different focused categories, which I covered in the last slide. You're going to learn from the people who have the experience. You're going to not learn theoretically how to do this, but how people actually did it. These are not consultants and formal facilitators. These are people who have lived it, who are doing it today. And you get to choose your session. Pick one of 4 value streams 3 times per day. Each session is 90 minutes long, and that gives time for the presenter to tell their story and for some Q&A. You get up close and personal with those practitioners. It's very, very real. Just an example of some of these 36 presentations we have. We have RIMX is going to present leadership, pardon me, leadership buy-in and global standardization. That's under the cultural value stream. We have improvement. RIMX, a BC company from Vancouver Island, is going to present on optimizing changeover times. Very tactical. This is how you optimize changeover times. Another example under technology would be pardon me, the advanced manufacturing journey with Price Industries. And then under sustainability, we have sustainability framework delivered by Botanical Paperwork. So this is just an example of the 36 presentations we have. Check out our website. You'll see them all there. 21 best practice tours. Just as an example, you see them there on the screen. MacDon is going to share their production system. Magellan Aerospace, visual management. National Research Council of Canada is going to walk you through advanced manufacturing on the floor to go see their robotics and automation. Really, really cool stuff. Harvest Manitoba is going to show how lean has helped feeding hope. In other words, helping people that are less fortunate. How's lean help them? Be Made Honey is going to show you automation and best practices and solid standard work around honey processing and packaging. Winnipeg Police Service has their story around the vehicle services fleet. And Red River College Polytech is going to talk to you about, is going to show you advanced manufacturing and mechatronics. Again, just a sample of those 21 tours we have. Our 7 world-class keynotes. Here we go. We've got Thilo Schwartz, who's coming from Germany. He's going to share his experiences as a motivational and leader in the space of transformation. We've got James Simon, author of, I think all of these are authors, in fact. He's going to deliver a powerful keynote around empowering excellence through mindful performance. Pascal Dennis, who's going to give you a keynote on getting the right things done in a digital world. So the elevation of how do we engage people in a digital world? It's not just making stuff anymore. It's blending technology and digital processes with our current processes. And you must not miss Alvin Law. I've seen him before. Amazing, amazing person who's going to teach you, who's going to talk to you about overcoming obstacles. Just completely inspirational and a not miss opportunity there. A little bit more on the conference overview. Just we've these networking pieces. I can't emphasize how important the networking is. You're going to meet people who have similar issues or have solutions to your issues. They're going to invite you to their plant. They're going to share templates and ideas with you, and you're going to do the same. And it's just going to motivate you to be all you can be when you get back to your organization. A minimum of three specific special events that's after conference hours. So welcome to join us. Newbie night is, we're going to launch off by inviting people, particularly people who have not joined a conference before, for a networking event. And we'll give you a little bit of coaching around how to get the most out of a conference, how to get the most influence when you go back, and how to take notes and things like that, how to pick sessions. Leaders night, these are the drivers of continuous improvement in our areas that support change and that drive economy. We're going to have a night just for you, where you get some of the keynote speakers in the room, some brilliant minds in a panel, perhaps, and we're going to talk about leadership stuff and support for transformation. Consortia night, will have organizations present that are part of Lean Consortia, which is sharing networks. They're going to tell their story about how that helps, and that is certainly going to be a good event. It's going to be led by Pascal Dennis. One of our keynotes. Going to be a really good night. Can't miss it. So just a couple more slides here. But again, as I said, if you're in Manitoba, you don't have to worry about travel. There's badge sharing. This means it's as low as $236 per person per day before November 15th. Register before November 15th, because the price goes up after that. It's our ultra early bird right now. If you register 6 or more people, it's $955 per registration. Less than 6, it's $1145, and that's at a 6 or more people is 50% discount. After November 15th, the price goes up by 10%. So now's your best deal. Just a reminder of the conference overview as I walked you through. And finally, an invite. I'm personally inviting you and your friends and whoever you want to join the next webinar. We're going to run these every second Wednesday until the end of May. So our next one is November 20th, and in that one I will be covering the 5 principles of Lean, how to start your journey, and I'll walk you through a little bit more about what you can expect from a plant tour. So feel free to register for that one as you see fit. And with every Embracing Excellence information webinar, I'm going to give you a takeaway that you could apply instantly to your business, just as I have done today with the TIMWOODS 8 Forms of Waste. Now, with that, that draws our webinar to a close, and I'd like to wish you a reflective Remembrance Day, and hope to have you at our next session, November 20th. All the best. Thank you.